Will Jake Haro ever get out of prison? I'm going to give you my opinion based on my 24 years of incarceration within the California Department of Corrections. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today is going to be sentencing day for Jake Haro. Before we get into the question, I just want to remind everybody, or at least go over some of the facts of this case. On August 14th, a police report was filed by baby Emmanuel's parents. Supposedly, baby Emmanuel had been abducted while he was with his mother in a shopping center. 8 days later, authorities determined it was a lie, and both of the Haros were picked up and arrested for the murder of their own child. They've been held on $1 million bail since that time. On October 16th, Jake Haro pled guilty. He pled guilty to second-degree murder, assault causing the death of a child, and filing a false police report. Today, he's facing 25 to life. Now, I want to say that it doesn't matter, but I'm a little confused on Jake being able to plead guilty to murder and an assault causing death. Hopefully it gets explained, because you can't catch two different cases of that nature. You can't catch two, like, put it like this. You can't kill and assault someone at the same time. At least in the past, you couldn't. I know, because I was found guilty of murder and assault, and the assault part was taken off on that victim. There were 5 victims in my case. Now, I always tell people that the number in front of the L, in front of the life sentence, really doesn't matter. When you catch a life sentence in California, it's pretty much a wrap. That's pretty much the death penalty. There are laws that changed. That's how I was able to get out, and thousands and thousands and thousands of lifers were able to get out. But that was because they committed their crimes under the age of 25, when the brain wasn't fully developed yet. And so those things had to be taken into account. And guys had to do a lot of self-help and internal work, developing personal insight into what allowed them to do the things that they did. And you have to be able to convince a board, a psychologist, and the governor that they're suitable to reenter society. Jake is in his 30s. Jake is not going to fall under any of those changes that would allow him to be treated as if his brain hadn't been fully developed. Keep in mind, this is not the first child of Jake's that was brutalized. Now, back to the question at hand, because the other night, and a few lives, we've had people asking us, hey, do you think Jake's ever going to get out? Jake will never get out. Jake is going to die in prison. I don't know how soon or how long it'll take, but it's a fact. The case that he's pleading guilty to, he can't even appeal. When you plead guilty, you can't appeal that. You forfeit your right to an appeal. There's for sure, if, let's say, I'm going to go ahead and assume he's going to get minimum 20 to life. He's going to have to do 20 years before he's eligible for parole, I would think. He's not going to have an easy time in there. He's going to be a victim, and he's going to be a victim on more than one occasion. This case is too high profile. Someone is going to see him and someone is going to have their way with him. And it may be more than one person. I don't condone violence. I'm giving you the reality. What that individual did to his daughter and then to his son is reprehensible. No one is okay with that stuff. And if you think about it, what he did to his daughter is probably worse because she still suffers. She still has to live in a way where she can't express herself. She'll never be married. She'll never have a boyfriend, never have a husband, never have children, never be able to take care of herself. We lost baby Emmanuel, but he doesn't have to suffer anymore. Imagine when you look at the pictures of baby Emmanuel, you see that he wasn't right. He wasn't developing right. I remember when I was in prison and I was doing my self-help, there was a book that I read called Beyond the Bullet. Most lifers read it. Most of us do a book report on it and make sure that book report gets into our C file. And I remember, well, I read so many books on self-help. I believe it was Beyond the Bullet. Beyond the Bullet is a very sad book, but I remember one of the books I read where it talked about being nurtured as a child. That I think it was in Romania. They had all those orphanages, and the children in those orphanages, most of them had never had any physical contact, no loving contact. And when the Soviet Union fell and they went into those orphanages, there were just row after row of babies in cribs, in incubators. The sad part was most of them weren't babies. They were 5, 6, 7 years old, and they never grew. Their growth was stunted because they had never been nurtured. They had never been treated with love. They were completely neglected, and they stayed in a like a regress state. And when I look at baby Emmanuel's pictures, there was no light in his eyes. Jake and Rebecca had already turned his lights out. They did it slowly. 7 months on this earth, and he probably never had a happy day. Jake and Rebecca will go to prison and stay there for the rest of their lives. I can't see how either one of them would have anybody send them money. I know nobody behind those walls is going to feed them. They're going to be miserable, as they should be. How could you hurt your own child? Let alone any child, but your own? And as I said, this isn't the first time one of Jake Haro's children were brutalized. I remember there was a specific person that was getting into my comments when I do videos on Jake. And she was commenting that Jake didn't do anything. He didn't do anything to baby Promise. It was his ex-wife that did that. And he didn't do anything to baby Emmanuel. It was Rebecca that did that. Two different women, but the same man. Jake Haro don't worry about it. For those of you concerned that he's ever going to get out, he won't. For those of you that think he's going to have it made, he gets 3 meals and a place to lay his head, he's going to get 3 shitty ass meals per day. And he's not going to have a safe place to lay his head for the rest of his life. He's always going to be looking over his shoulder. Every time that cell door pops open, he's going to have to wonder if that's the day they get him, or if that's the day they get him again. He's going to have to wonder, when they do move on him, when they do go after him, when they do attack him, is he going to survive? Prison in California is brutal. There's no place to hide, especially when you have cases like that. No society is okay with that. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.